At exactly the wrong moment, everything went silent. No engine, no radio, just the sound of wind rushing past a cockpit that was falling out of the sky over Iran. His name hasn't been officially released, but we know his rank: Colonel, US Air Force. And we know what happened to him over the next 48 hours will be studied in military survival schools for decades. In a few seconds, he was going to pull a handle and eject from one of America's most powerful fighter jets into the dark mountains of one of America's most hostile enemies. He had trained for this moment hundreds of times. But training ends. Reality doesn't. And what waited for him on the ground was something no simulation could fully prepare a man for. An entire nation was about to be told to find him. $60,000 on his head, Revolutionary Guard forces already moving, and he hadn't even hit the ground yet. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. This is not the rescue story. This is the survival story. 48 hours, alone, wounded, hunted. And this is how he made it out alive. Let's go back to the moment it all started. April 3rd, 2026. His F-15E Strike Eagle was operating over southwestern Iran as part of the ongoing US military campaign. He was the weapons systems officer, seated behind the pilot, responsible for targeting, navigation, and electronic warfare. Then, the TEWS system screamed. The Tactical Electronic Warfare System, the aircraft's missile detection brain, detected an incoming threat. In the cockpit, warning lights exploded across every screen. Both crew members had a fraction of a second to react. The aircraft was hit. Exactly what struck it, a missile, a surface-to-air system, IRGC air defense, was later confirmed by Iranian state media posting wreckage photos. Both crew members ejected. The jet went down in the mountains of Kogaluya and Boyar Ahmad province in southwestern Iran. Ejecting from a fighter jet is itself a violent act. A rocket fires beneath your seat, pushing you out at extreme force. In ideal conditions, it's survivable. In mountainous terrain, at night, potentially at lower altitude, it is one of the most dangerous moments a military pilot can face. He survived it, but he wasn't uninjured. He came down in the mountains, not near a road, not near a town, in the kind of terrain where a man can disappear and never be found. His parachute landed him on rocky, uneven ground somewhere in the dark Iranian wilderness. He gathered himself, checked his body, and immediately understood his situation. He was wounded. He was alone. His pilot had come down somewhere else. And within minutes, before he had even fully caught his breath, Iranian state TV was already broadcasting that an American jet had been shot down and the crew was unaccounted for. The hunt had begun. Here is what every US pilot is trained to do in the first 60 seconds after landing in enemy territory. First, get off the parachute. A parachute is visible from distance and ties you to your landing spot. He bundled it fast and moved. Second, get to high ground or concealment. Rocky terrain is both a danger and a gift. The same jagged rocks that make movement painful also make you invisible from below. Third, activate your survival radio. Before we go further, I need you to understand something. At this point in the story, nobody on the American side knows exactly where he is. His pilot is somewhere else on the mountain. US rescue forces are scrambling, and Iran is already mobilizing. He is alone in enemy territory, with nothing but what was in his survival vest. What he does in the next 60 minutes determines whether anyone ever finds him in time. While he hid, Iran activated every network it had. Iranian state television told civilians across the region An American pilot has ejected in your area. Find him. Report him. The government will reward you. A regional governor went further, offering a formal bounty. Local merchants and businesses in the area pooled together the equivalent of $60,000 in cash for whoever located the American first. Think about what that means on the ground. Farmers, shepherds, local tribesmen, many of them armed, suddenly had a financial incentive to comb every hillside. These are people who know that terrain far better than any Iranian soldier. They know the valleys, the caves, the dry riverbeds. The IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, deployed ground forces into the search area. These are not regular police. These are Iran's ideologically motivated elite military force, the same organization that shot down his jet. They had vehicles, communications, and local knowledge. At some point during that first night, they got within 3 kilometers of him. 3 kilometers. In mountainous terrain, at night, that is dangerously close. He heard them. Or at least, he heard something. Voices, vehicle engines in the valleys below, flashlight beams sweeping the hillsides. SERE training tells you what to do. Stop moving completely. Press yourself into the terrain. Control your breathing. Do not make a sound. What saved him in those moments? And this is the part that deserves serious attention. Were the drones. MQ-9 Reaper drones had been circling the area. They carry targeting systems that can identify individual human beings in total darkness. The moment any military-aged Iranian male got within 3 kilometers of the colonel, the drones struck, silently, without warning, from above. He didn't know exactly what was happening around him. He knew drones were overhead because he'd been told to stay put, and they were watching. But the full picture, the strikes, the CIA operation, the deception campaign, none of that reached him in his hiding spot. All he knew was that nobody had found him yet, and that every hour he stayed hidden was another hour closer to rescue. So he kept going. Here is the thing about survival that nobody talks about. The physical part is hard. The mental part is what actually breaks people. After 12 hours alone in enemy terrain, wounded, cold, hungry, the human mind starts working against you. Doubt creeps in. Fear compounds. By the time the second night fell, he had been on the ground for over 24 hours. His water from the survival vest was running low. His wound was draining his energy. The temperature in the Iranian mountains at night drops significantly. He was managing all of this while staying still. This is where SERE training either holds or breaks. The program puts candidates through realistic, simulated capture scenarios. They starve you, they expose you to cold. The entire program is designed to find the ceiling of a person's psychological endurance under real stress, and then push them past it. His brain had been there before. Psychologists who study survival situations describe a mental framework called the will to survive, and it is not the same as optimism. Optimism can actually be dangerous. The will to survive is different. It is a simple, almost mechanical commitment to doing the next right thing regardless of outcome. Move, hide, hydrate, rest when safe. At some point during that second night, he received a radio communication. US forces had a fix on his position. A rescue operation was being planned. He was given instructions. Move to a specific location, a slightly more accessible position in the terrain, and wait for the signal. He made the call, he moved. What he didn't know was that the CIA had launched a full deception operation to protect his movement. False intelligence was being fed into Iranian networks. IRGC search teams were being misdirected. The drones overhead were actively clearing a corridor for him. The entire weight of American intelligence was moving with him. He reached the position, found cover, activated his beacon again to confirm location, and then he waited again, trusting that the people coming for you are actually coming. At this exact moment in Washington, D.C., President Trump was in the White House Situation Room. Dozens of aircraft were already airborne. Special forces were on the ground. The rescue package that launched for him was a full SERE, Combat Search and Rescue Operation. Tanker aircraft, fighter jets, and MQ-9 Reapers watching every approach route. And on the ground, a specialized commando unit moving through Iranian mountain terrain in darkness toward one specific man. They were wearing full night vision, moving in silence. When they reached him, sources say he was conscious, aware, and on his feet. Nearly 2 full days in the mountains of Iran, and he was still standing. They began moving immediately, no time to rest. The HH-60 Pave Hawk rescue helicopter came in low and fast. The landing was brief. Commandos loaded him aboard, and the helicopter was lifting before the door was fully closed. As the helicopter climbed out of Iranian airspace, 48 hours, 14 minutes after his jet went down, a wounded US colonel looked out at the mountains that had tried to swallow him. He was going home. 3 words landed on Truth Social the morning of April 5th, 2026. We got him. And behind those 3 words was 48 hours of survival, deception, and one man's absolute refusal to be captured. His survival proved something that military analysts will be studying for years. Iran threw everything at finding one wounded man, and he outlasted all of it. That is the product of one of the most demanding training programs. It also proves something about American reach. A successful rescue operation inside Iranian territory. Whatever Iran claims about its air defense, the events told a very specific story. Trump called it one of the most daring search and rescue operations in US history. The military executed it, and one colonel walked out of the Iranian mountains alive. If this story hit different because you heard it from his perspective, subscribe right now. This channel tells the stories behind the stories. Every week, a new story, told the way it deserves to be told.